All right, good morning, 7:05 right now. Welcome back to Fox 4 Morning News. You are watching our continuing coverage of the aftermath and recovery after Hurricane Ian. Obviously, ongoing recovery efforts here in Southwest Florida. And as we are continuing our coverage, we want to know that we are here for you. We've got information for you, a long list of all kinds of sites where you can get food and water and a shower today if you want one. All of that is at fox4now.com. And we know so many of you are without power today, and you're probably wondering when you're going to get the lights back on. LCEC and FPL crews are working around the clock to restore the grids for us.
Yeah, FPL outages as of 6 a.m. today. We do have a little bit of an update here as a few hundred people have gotten power back in the last hour. Lee County sits at 44,120, and those are people that are sitting in the dark. Now, Charlotte County, 61,100 people, and in Sarasota County, still about 47,000 people without power.
Yeah, and the update from FPL, we spoke with them yesterday face to face, but these numbers are as of 6 a.m. But what they're saying is they do expect 95% of their customers to have power by the end of the day on Friday. So if you are still one of those people that's an FPL customer and you don't have power, you will most likely have it by Friday. That 5%, because they're only saying 95% will have it, 5% is people whose homes were destroyed or who maybe the infrastructure was damaged enough that you can't actually get power to your house. That will take a little bit longer. Let's look at the LCEC numbers as well. This is an update as of 4 o'clock yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry. These numbers, excuse me, ignore that time at the top. It's 6 o'clock this morning. These are the newest numbers. So Marco Island, there's still about 2,000 people out, but 17,000 people have their lights on. In Lehigh Acres, only 1,200 people are out. 31,000 have their lights on. North Fort Myers, 38,000 are still out and 31,000 have theirs on. And in Cape Coral, you can see that is definitely the largest number with about 87,000 people still dealing with power outages in Cape Coral. But again, LCEC is taking help. They've brought in 1,000 new linemen after they were urged to do so by the governor, and FPL's crews that came in from out of state to help them, we were told yesterday, are going to not leave. They're going to then transition and help LCEC to get the lights back on. 95% they say should be up and running by Saturday. That 5% that isn't going to be up and running are the ones that it's just not possible and they can't get electricity to their house.
I know some Duke Energy crews heading out to Pine Island to help with the recovery efforts there as well. Big job before the Mount Lachey and Pine Island area, so we'll take all hands on deck. With the darkness, there are curfews that are in place here in Southwest Florida. Collier County still remains with a curfew from midnight to 6 a.m. So the curfew in most of these locations over as it's 7:08. The city of Naples continues the curfew a couple of hours earlier from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. And in Charlotte County, where we just had 61,000 roughly still in the dark, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew. And in Lee County, that curfew is even earlier. It's 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And Amy, we've got some changes with the Sanibel curfew. It was 24 hours, but starting tomorrow, they're going to roughly go from a 7 to a 7 p curfew to kind of match the daylight hours.
All right, and we want to just give you a quick update on water. Good news this morning, water pumping operations are almost back to 100% in Cape Coral. The Department of Emergency Management says Southwest Florida is ahead of schedule when it comes to restoring water for other areas like Fort Myers as well. They are working to, fix any of those breaks underground. So they're asking if you see water bubbling up on the street, they want you to call 311 because they need eyes and ears across Southwest Florida to let them know where those breaks are so they can fix it. But again, in Cape Coral, water is pumping to 100% of people who live there. All right, for those of you who want to take a look at the numbers and wonder, area by area in Southwest Florida where the water kind of stands, let's look at those right now. 3 million gallons a day are pumping to Pine Woods. The Olga water plant has 2.5 million gallons nearly a day pumping. Green Meadows, 6 million gallons a day. City of Fort Myers has 8.5 a little more million gallons a day pumping, and in Lee County in general, 2 million gallons a day. So you can see across the area, those water plants are doing the best they can. You got to keep in mind, though, if you're cooking, if you're cleaning, there is still a boil water notice in effect for Charlotte and Lee counties. Collier County Public Utilities lifted their boil water notice for people that live on Gulf Shore Drive, but it's a good idea to boil your water until you definitively know you're cleared, because there's bacteria in the water that can be dangerous to you and your family. So keep it out of your mouth. It is safe to take a shower, though. Just obviously try not to get any of the water in your mouth. If you're going to use it for anything you're cooking or putting into your body, you're definitely going to want to boil it. Rolling boil for 1 minute should do the trick.
All right, sounds good. Colton Chavez has been all around Southwest Florida during the height of the storm and now in our recovery efforts. And today we find him at Southwest Florida International Airport. A little eerie sight this morning, Amy. Not used to seeing the airport so quiet.
Yeah, and you know, commercial flights are opening at a very, very minimal basis today, so that you can get in and out of our area. That is obviously going to expand, Colton, as the days go on. But today we expect the president to be flying into Southwest Florida International Airport and taking an aerial tour of Southwest Florida, right?
That's right, Amy. A lot going on here at RSW. You just mentioned President Biden coming in here to the Southwest Florida International Airport. Now, that's scheduled to happen later this afternoon. So this is what we know at this time as far as Biden's trip here to Southwest Florida. So after he arrives here later this afternoon, he's actually going to be taking a helicopter trip to really start to survey some of our damaged areas in Lee County. One area in particular is Fort Myers Beach. So I want to show you some video of the area that he's going to start looking at. So specifically, we're told President Biden will tour Fisherman's Wharf, one of the neighborhoods in Fort Myers Beach. Now, during the president's tour, he'll be talking with families and local business owners, as well as getting briefed by federal, state, and local officials working to help Southwest Florida rebuild. We're told President Biden will also be speaking down at Fort Myers Beach to discuss the current relief and recovery efforts for Southwest Florida. Now, we're going to continue to have all of these latest updates tracking the president's arrival here to RSW. But Amy, Trent, the other thing I really want to touch on right now is we're starting to see the airport come alive. During the last hour, we weren't seeing too many people here, but as you can see behind me, luggage, people going through Concourse D right now, starting to be able to go through the TSA and that being processed so they can get on whatever flight that they're getting on. So if you are traveling to the airport today, there are some things that I want you to remember. One of them is that a lot of the amenities that are here at the airport are going to be limited. So what I'm talking about is things like this right over here. It's the always dependable Starbucks, things like that. The airport shops and stores as well, they're going to be at a limited supply. You can even see cases of water and over to the left really stacked up. We saw some ice being brought into that area as well. So limited supplies, they will be open for you, but do remember supplies could run out. The other thing I really want to make sure everybody remembers is let's go ahead and check out the arrival and departure boards here. We're being told that you need to make sure you're checking where your flight is flying out of, what concourse you're in, because it's going to be changing. All of those traditional locations where you would normally be flying out, it may be changing today. What we've noticed this morning, a lot of the departures and arrivals coming out of RSW are going to be coming out of Concourse D, which is the terminal that we're at right now. So make sure if you are coming, you give yourself enough time. They're even advising a few more minutes than what you would normally give to be able to get yourself here on time. The other important thing, if you are parking, short-term, long-term parking, they are open, so you can go ahead and utilize those as well. And the gas station that you see coming into the airport, I looked at it this morning, it appears to be open. We'll go ahead and check on that for you. And we're going to be here all morning long talking with people in the area, because this is really the first time a lot of families who evacuated are getting a chance to check out their homes. We'll have more information for that when I check back in at the top of the hour. But for now, live at RSW, Colton Chavez, Fox 4.
All right, thanks for that, Colton. We appreciate the update. We'll check back with you in a little bit as the president arrives there. We want to show you this picture. Obviously, we're getting new pictures constantly from those of you across Southwest Florida. You can see the damage there. You can see the railroad ties. So this was a train track over the water in Southwest Florida. And if you've ever dealt with railroad ties, you know how heavy they are. I mean, they are solid pieces of wood. I can't lift them, obviously, myself, but you can see the damage that this storm did. And we're seeing that across our communities. And, you know, it's amazing to see what this storm did to our area, but it's also amazing to see the hard work that's being done and how quickly it's happening.
If I remember that spot, what it looked like before the storm, I believe it's Chattanooga Drive. It's on the south side of the Caloosahatchee there, and it doesn't look like it did before.
Yeah.
It's kind of a hard reference to make, but just that storm surge, even coming up to Caloosahatchee, ripping apart the railroad.
Yeah. So, you know, with the Sanibel Causeway destroyed, if you will, it needs to be rebuilt. A lot of people are wondering what it looks like on Sanibel Island. If you don't have a boat, excuse me, or a friend with a boat to take you to and from the island, maybe you haven't been able to check out your property yet. You might be curious how your home fared. So the city of Sanibel is working to give you these re-entry passes so you can go check out your home and your business, and you can go get one of those today from 8 to 5. You can do this Monday through Saturday at the Crowne Plaza Hotel. You do have to prove, though, that you have a home, have a business, or that if you're a contractor, you're working with one of the homeowners. So driver's license, documentation, paperwork, tax records if you are a business owner there. We've got a list of all the info you need to get those reentry passes to go onto Sanibel on our website, fox4now.com. But the other thing that the city of Sanibel is doing, and I want to show this to you, is a post-Hurricane Ian recovery map. And I was just playing with this myself, kind of looking at it, and it's really amazing what they were able to do. So you see this map, you see the oranges and the yellows and little pockets of red and green. If you click on those and you zoom in, you can see basically address by address. They've gone. You see the green lines, those are roads that have been cleared. The red lines are roads that are impassable right now, but you can go and click on one of those little green or orange or yellow or red dots, and it will zoom in and it will show you street by street. If you actually click on the dot, the address, and they detail out your property damage. Sometimes they even detail out who owns the property, so you know for sure it's yours. For example, the one that we're clicking on here, this is on West Gulf Drive. So those reds, unfortunately, if you look there on the chart to the left, that says destroyed under the red. And if you look at the numbers, that kind of shows you the impact we're looking at. The yellow bar on the right-hand side, 3,000 homes have major or minor damage. More than 2.5 homes have major damage. And then you see the destroyed in the red is actually much lower than those. So we're happy to see that. But this is a great resource for you if you're not able to get on the island, because you can go, you can zoom in, you can check out your own property and see where things stand until you can get there physically. Just go to the City of Sanibel's website. They've got a link there for you. It's super easy to find. So that is one thing you can do if you want to do that.
Yeah, just looking at the map here there at West Rocks Drive, south of there, it looks like a lot of the buildings on the ocean side of West Gulf Drive, unfortunately, have the red icon for destroyed. So great tool there. Quite impressive, the quick turnaround that the city of Sanibel has gotten on that website, so folks can take a first-hand look without putting themselves in harm's way.
Yeah, and LCEC is the power company for Sanibel, and obviously a lot of people are wondering when they're going to be able to get to Sanibel Island and be able to get their power restored. It's going to take some time. So an LCEC spokesperson said that they are working on it, but they do have a plan in place for when they'll have the lights back on the island. Take a listen.
Possibly a month for some areas. The good thing is for some people is that when we were able to assess the damage by air the day after the storm, we did see that some areas were not as impacted as others. So it will be much easier to restore power once we can gain access to the island.
All right, so again, that's Karen Ryan. She's a spokesperson for LCEC, which provides power to Sanibel Island up to a month, she said, for some people. The big challenge right now is getting power utility trucks onto the island, and, you know, putting that truck onto a barge is not an easy feat. We've seen how large they are, absolutely. And then there's the issue of how do you get, even if you can get it onto the barge, how do you get it off of the barge onto some kind of ramp? So they're working on it. They're actively working on it. And the good news is it could be the end of the month where you might be able to drive on the island. You can get those passes. We're moving forward and we're starting to get timelines.
I think it's quite impressive that they're even giving a timeline for the end of the month to possibly have some power back on the island, let alone the temporary access there, because Amy, that's going to make a tremendous difference. Like you said, to get crews on with supplies, to get that debris off the island, and to really just look at Sanibel and start to rebuild. You look at the devastation, and all I keep thinking is, where do you start? These folks have a plan and they have a timeline.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing, right? And you know, we are here with you if you need information on how to file insurance claims and where to go to do that, or where to get food and water, where you can charge your phone, where you can take a shower today. There are places for all of those things. We've got a list on our website, fox4now.com. We are going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back. You're watching Fox 4 Morning News, extended coverage of the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. 7:23 right now. Thank you so much for joining us here on Fox 4 Morning News. You know, one of the places that saw a lot of damage in Southwest Florida after Hurricane Ian was Pine Island in the Matlacha area. And when it first was after the storm, we weren't sure how long it was going to take for people to even be able to get to Pine Island. But the Florida Department of Transportation is doing amazing work, making major progress in restoring that road access to Pine Island through Matlacha. Crews have been building a temporary road. It's the only road that can lead you to the area because it was destroyed by Hurricane Ian.
Yesterday, we were talking to Fox 4's Alexander Rangel, and when we first heard her give this timeline, we both looked at each other like, did she just say by Saturday?
Yeah, I had to have her repeat it.
Yeah, and so this morning we've sent Alexandra back out there towards Matlacha. She's been following the construction progress. Give us an update now that the sun is up. What are you seeing out there, Alexandra?
This morning, work crews resumed construction on the new road that will allow access to Pine Island. Right now, that road is only a temporary fix, but it will allow cars onto the island as soon as possible. And FDOT is saying that can happen as soon as Saturday. Now, we did a ride along with the U.S. Coast Guard, and we got to see a closer look of that bridge, of the Matlacha Pass Bridge. We saw some work crews that were already driving over the bridge, and once that road that connects to the bridge is completed, FDOT says they will continue clearing the path through the island to provide safe road access for first responders, disaster recovery teams, and residents. We spoke to residents on the island who are starting to feel hopeful about the progress being made.
I see the road being built in here right now, which is obviously giving me goosebumps now that, you know, we have a road being built, and I'm pretty certain that pretty soon we'll have access to the island.
Again, that construction is expected to be completed on Saturday. We'll continue to keep you updated on that progress. For now, live in Matlacha, Alexander Rangel, Fox 4.
Alex, I do want to ask you a quick question if you can hear me. I know obviously Saturday is like the date that they've been giving for people to possibly be able to drive their cars, but it's really mind-boggling when we hear, did I hear you say that crews are already driving back and forth? So this road is kind of already formed enough that crews are driving back and forth?
Yeah, they are, and it's been happening since Monday. This morning we've seen a couple of crews still driving back and forth as we actually got to tour the island yesterday. We can also see crews on the island fixing some roads there that were also destroyed by Hurricane Ian. So, I mean, people that we spoke to on the island are very hopeful, just seeing what's already happened. And I mean, it's been a week now since the hurricane, so that is bringing a lot of hope to people who are deciding to stay there and stay there at their home.
Absolutely. It probably feels like a lifeline knowing that soon you'll be able to get on and off much easier than having to jump on a boat. Alexander Rangel, excuse me, thank you, on the entrance of Matlacha there with an update. We'll check back with her in a little bit. If you're a student at Florida Gulf Coast University and you're wondering what's going on, so classes are expected to resume on Monday, October 10th. Weekends will be used for classes to make up hurricane days. Obviously, you've been out of school for some time. If you're a student there are going to be different options for you to catch up. The faculty there and staff are going to work on those plans. Those will come out soon. You've lost 10 days because of Hurricane Ian, and that's obviously, especially with college, a lot of work to probably make up. So the new academic calendar is going to apply to fall 2022. They've got information on your breaks and when you're going to have different breaks from school. Full details on the calendar will be announced. In fact, they already put them out October 4th, so you can probably go to their website, FGCU's website, but they are kind of trying to replan the calendar, if you will, for 2022, 2023, so they can get you guys back on track. Again, that's for students at FGCU.
Drone footage here in the Cape, and this is a site we're seeing all along the roadways where the contents of these homes and residences now are on the street corners, and it's almost like you're getting a peek inside their lives that were about a week ago.
Yeah, and you know, it's so interesting now in this day and age when we're dealing with damage like this across Southwest Florida to see these aerial pictures. Back in the day when we had Hurricane Andrew come through, or, you know, even with Hurricane Charlie, drones were not a popular thing. We did not have easy access to them. So it really gives you a broad view and scope of what people are dealing with. And you can see not only this, piles of dressers and boxes and personal belongings, but you can see when you're flying over, we saw the storm surge in the water in people's yards. We saw the roofs. You can see on the right-hand side, it looks like a portion of a roof is missing, blue tarps there. So it's amazing to see this, and we want you to continue to share your stories and share your pictures with us as we go through this together. We have a long road to recovery and rebuilding here in Southwest Florida. So you can send your photos and your pictures to us anytime. You can send those to fox4now.com/pics is the website where you want to go to upload those. But we also have a QR code, and if you've never used one before, it's super easy. If you have a smartphone, all you do is open up the camera on your phone and point your phone at that square on your TV. That will pop up this little yellow link that you tap, and it will take you directly to the website you need to go to be able to upload those pictures, upload the video, and share your story. I know for me at least, sometimes talking about stuff and sharing our experiences is a great way to cope and know that we are connected in this, even though it's something difficult to be connected with. So please share your story with us if you feel like you can, and we would love to see that and share it with everyone else.
Fox 4 has crews all around Southwest Florida, and this morning, Michael Schwartz is out on Fort Myers Beach, where he's met people doing their best to clean up from the storm. We want to get the latest, one of the hardest hit areas from Hurricane Ian. Let's go out to, again, reporter Michael Schwartz.
Watch nails and stuff, you guys.
I met Kelvin and Kimberly Clayton in Fort Myers Beach. They allowed me to follow them as they searched for their pickup truck among the destruction left by Hurricane Ian. To their surprise, it was right where they left it, outside Calvin's welding shop.
There's our truck. Our truck's there. How did it not float away?
Huge boats were just tossed hundreds of feet, but their Chevy was spared.
I'm sure it's no good. It probably filled with water, but...
Clayton gets in and turns the key for another surprise. It runs. As for his welding shop, it reeks of spilled gasoline inside. Electrical equipment is damaged from flooding.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
But the business across the street, a marina, is a different story.
It's devastation. It's devastation.
And you go inside the marina, it is a disaster.
Never seen any hurricane come through here and do anything like this.
Nearby, a rush for the Redenius brothers loading their dehydrated tortoises and turtles into trucks. With little water left in their bins, I helped get the reptiles loaded up. How many turtles have you been saving right now?
We've saved at least 50 turtles. I've already lost 4 turtles since I've saved them.
And you guys lived on Fort Myers Beach?
Fort Myers Beach down by Publix.
What is it like over there?
Beach is gone.
Something Anthony Giordano saw firsthand.
It's terrible. It's bad. There's no water. There's no power. There's no, people's, everything is gone. Everything's washed away.
Like so many others, Giordano and his wife had no choice but to walk 7 miles from their home in Fort Myers Beach just to get to the mainland.
Tough navigation. A lot of people are elderly and handicapped. They can't get out.
Literally trapped.
Trapped, yeah. Yeah. If we didn't hike out, we're trapped. They have no water, no nothing, and it just, they're doing the best they can to get people out, but it's a disaster.
Giordano pulling a cart with his 14-year-old dog on top. This was literally take whatever's important to you and leave.
That's it. That's all that's left. There's nothing else left.
Residents walking out of the destruction, passing ambulances racing nonstop toward the coast, trying to save as many people as possible.
We're lucky. We're alive and nothing got damaged, that can't be replaced, and we're okay. My daughter's right there, so we're in good shape.
Well, go enjoy that reunion.
Thank you
good
so
seeing
much.
you.
Thank
All the
you.
best, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Michael Schwartz, Fox 4, Fort Myers.
And love to hear those stories of positivity and people saying, you know what, the things can be replaced. And this is in the face of true devastation. Some of these people lost all of their belongings and lost their home. It's not there anymore. And you see them doing things like saving turtles, or, they have a smile on their face.
Yeah, not going to be the last. We see some positivity coming out of Fort Myers Beach. One thing that's been so positive here the last couple of days in the cleanup effort has been our gorgeous weather. And Lauren, please tell me those rain chances are going to stay down.
Over the next couple of days, they are going to remain down because of that dry air that was pulled in after Hurricane Ian started to move through the northeast. As we hit your late weekend into next week, though, we're going to bump up our chance for rain. So if you do have to maybe tarp up the roof, make sure you do it sooner rather than later. I know supplies are really limited right now, but that's just another headache that we don't need to deal with right now. Live radar is sweeping across nice and clear, at least for today. Not expecting any rain. We have a couple of showers moving away from the east coast, but for us here in Southwest Florida, all the way from Venice, southbound along I-75 and through our inland areas, we are looking dry. Temperatures have been very comfortable out there. Not this comfortable, though. It looks like maybe some of our instruments are coming back online. It is not 34 degrees over in Punta Gorda. If you remember, Trent and I explained to you that Hurricane Ian actually wiped out a couple of our instruments at our reporting stations with the National Weather Service. They're doing their best to get them back online. Fort Myers and Naples still missing, but low to mid 60s really across the board, with the wind speeds today remaining at 10 miles per hour or just below, so not too breezy. Highs today maxing out in the mid to upper 80s. Sunset time going to be 7:11, and right around then temperatures will be around 78, but they're going to dip back into the low to mid 60s as we head into the overnight hours. Clouds and radar not only nice and clear for us here in Southwest Florida, but really across the entire southeast, as all of that moisture was pulled with the remnants of Ian. It's going to be impacting the northeast right now, well away from us here in Southwest Florida. But as Ian and also its steering current, that front, move out to the Atlantic, it's pulling in dry air from the north for us. So you could see that on the water vapor loop as we have all of that orange right there. That's helping to limit the rain chances and keep the humidity nice and low, and also really just keep us clear across the entire state. A closer look at the models as we head through the rest of today. You can see just a couple of passing clouds. This model really trying to pick up on a couple of showers for Thursday and looking clear on Friday. I think Thursday we're really going to be dry. It's going to be Sunday into next week where you'll have to worry about those rain chances. Cooler temperatures look like they really do stick around, though, as you have the remnants of Ian starting to move away, but right behind it as we head through this weekend, coming up in just a couple of days, another trough digging through, bringing us cooler temperatures, drier air, and then another one right behind it. We're just in that time of the year we're starting to see a bit more of these fronts move through, and that will continue as we head through your winter months as well. I do want to talk about the tropics really quickly. No reason to panic right now, but we are still in the thick of hurricane season. A couple of things that we do have to watch. This area highlighted in red right here does have a 80% chance of developing over the next 5 days. Long-range models continue to take it through the Caribbean and away from us. We also have a tropical depression that developed yesterday. This is well out into the Atlantic, and it looks like those long-range models keep it out into the Atlantic. But again, these are all things we continue to watch, but there is no threat to Southwest Florida. We obviously don't need to deal with another tropical system anytime soon. I know a lot of people probably not getting out on the boat as you have a lot of debris out there, but if you are, not too bad today. Wind speed's going to be up to 15 knot, seas 1 to 2 feet, moderate chop on your inland waters. As we head into your weekend over the next couple of days, really wave height's going to be 2 feet or less. So for today, our highs maxing out near 87, overnight lows again going to dip into the low to mid 60s, and this nice weather does continue for the next couple of days. Plenty of sunshine. Open up those windows, especially with so many of us still being in the dark without power. Those rain chances again, though, do bump up. Monday with a 30% chance of a few showers. Tuesday, we're looking at a 40% chance. So if you have any yard work that you need to do, cleaning up anything like that, do it sooner rather than later. Time right now is 7:36, and you are watching Fox 4 Morning News.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage here of the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. I'm Trent Eric.
I'm Amy Wegman. We've been hearing so many amazing stories of not only rescues and recoveries, but survival. Yeah. One man is sharing his amazing story of what it was like to go through Ian for himself. His name is Stan Pence, and he said he had to jump out of the building window into water to avoid drowning because it was coming up so high. He was swept away by the storm surge and the floodwaters, and he had to hang on to bushes for hours during the storm. Eventually, he says he did make it to dry land to a building, and he stayed there overnight. But he says that it really was so much going through that I can't even imagine being outside in the middle of that storm clinging to a bush, and now he just has so much strength. Take a listen.
And I was just thinking about my kids and my grandkids and just everybody I know, and they just kept me going in my mind.
It's hard to hear.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, like I said, I can't imagine. Now, we do know that he was able to swim across the street to another home to ride out the storm on a second floor, but had to be completely exhausted and frightened.
I'm so happy he's okay.
Yeah, me too.
We hope to hear more stories like that. We know so many of you who feel cut off from your homes and businesses on our barrier islands are wondering when you're going to be able to get back. The city of Sanibel is issuing hurricane re-entry passes for you to be able to get back to check out your buildings and check out your homes. Our Elise Chengary is talking about this for us. She's in Lee County right now. And Elise, I know obviously it's kind of incredible to hear that people might have access via road to Sanibel Island by the end of the month, but there are steps they need to take. It's not like the island's going to be open to everyone, right?
Good morning, Amy. Yes, you could just see all of the help that's been here throughout Southwest Florida, and to hear that possibly there'll be more access through the bridge, that's just incredible. We know that we tried to head over to the Punta Rasa, the dock there, to see if, we could see if anybody's trying to make their way over. That's actually closed at this time. That's only for first responders still at this time. So right now we are over here on San Carlos Boulevard, where we know the rescue efforts are still taking place to get over to Fort Myers Beach. Now, as these rescue efforts are happening, there's also rescue efforts still happening over at Sanibel. However, people really want to go see their property. They want to see if they can take anything back with them. I just got off the phone with a boat company. They say that people are calling them to try to work out ways that they can get over there. Now, some other news. Obviously, we know that you need to get one of those passes. So you can head over to the Crown Plaza to get one of those passes from 8 to 5 p.m. today. You could do that throughout the rest of the week. Now, this is a huge difference from just what we were reporting last Tuesday, because we said that when you get those passes, it would basically be like a fast pass to get back over that causeway into Sanibel. Well, obviously, that it's broke in 5 places. People can only get there by boat. So when I contacted that boat company here just within the last 15 minutes, they said people are calling them. I know I also spoke to a gentleman on the other side here where he says that he's been taking people the last few days to try to get them over to Sanibel, but obviously we know only that access is beginning today. And now, as I say that, they are still having rescues over at Sanibel as well, from what I am being told. So again, if you need to get one of those passes, what you need to do is you need to bring your ID over to the hotel. Now, if you are a renter, you need to bring some kind of electric bill. Also, if you're a contractor, we're being told they are not allowing contractors there at this time. So only basically renters and people who live over there are able to get there. So that's the new information that we have today. Again, that's from 8 to 5 that you can go pick up one of those passes. Again, you have to be careful because some docks are still closed only for law enforcement. So you're basically going to have to find a boat on your own to make your way over there. Now, another important note, you can go over to the city of Sanibel. You could go to their Facebook or their website, and basically they have a map, and it shows which areas are kind of worse than others. They also want to make you very aware that it is dangerous to still go over there. There's no power. They say that there's also very low signal. So they say it's very hard to get a hold of people there as well. So just keep that in mind if you are trying to make your way over there. Of course, we'll continue to update you throughout the morning. We will also be trying to get over there by boat as well, so we can update you that way. Live here in Fort Myers, Elise Chengary, Fox 4.
Hey, thanks for the update, Elise. We're getting so many images of those blue tarps on homes across Southwest Florida. It kind of brings back memories of Hurricane Charlie back in the day in the Punta Gorda and Charlotte County area. For years after the storm hit, we saw those blue tarps on roofs. Workers in Cape Coral and roofers in Cape Coral, they are hard at work trying to button up the roof so that, as Lauren has been telling us, we might be seeing some rain chances on Monday. You don't want water to come into your house on top of the damage we already have. So you can see this is some drone video. Looks like that roof, all of the shingles, all of the tiles are gone, and they're putting those tarps in. So this is important work that's happening. If you have damage to your roof, you're going to want to get a tarp on it. That's going to be probably hard to find yourself, but there is help out there. So Operation Blue Roof is one way that you can get that. The website that you want to go to is blueroof.us. You can see the phone number there as well that you can call. I'm going to say that slowly. We have this on our website as well if you need it, but it's 888-766-3333. 3258. And there are steps you want to take. First, you have to basically apply. They have to validate your application. Then they come out and assess your damage, and then they put this temporary roof on until you can get the repairs that we need. We have supply chain issues going on. There are so many hurdles we're going to have to get through here in Southwest Florida to have everything completely buttoned up and permanently fixed. So this is a great option for you, especially as we are going to be dealing with some rain across Southwest Florida. So again, you just want to go to blueroof.us. The other option is you can obviously contact your insurer. Some insurance companies will have roofing companies come out. I met a guy from Texas the other day in my neighborhood who was already out installing tarps through insurance companies. So you've got options, but this is a good one that you know is legit. It's through FEMA, so blueroof.us is where you want to go.
Good stuff there. Photos and videos continue to come in. This is video of some of the floodwaters and storm surge. All too common. This is the type of damage we're seeing. And anytime you get this type of water in a home, that's why we've got the piles of carpet, tiles, dressers, furniture, couches, just piled up on the side of the roadways throughout the Cape. Because, Amy, everything that water has touched is pretty much destroyed, and you have to get that moisture out of the house, and the only way to do that, unfortunately, is to start over and get the waterlogged items onto the side of the road. You can see this video was sent to us there as the storm was either moving out or moving in. Kind of hard to tell there, but the waters were coming up there in parts of the Cape.
So we want to see your pictures and video as well. We are in this together. We are here for you, and I know sometimes it's cathartic, if you will, to share your experience, sure. Right? We've all been through something for sure if you were here in Southwest Florida during Ian. So if you want to share your photos and video with us, you can do it at fox4now.com/pics, or that square is a QR code. If you're not familiar with them, super easy to use. You grab your smartphone, open up the camera, point it at that square, and there'll be this little yellow link. You tap on that, and it takes you straight to the website, so you don't have to type anything in. And again, if you want to share your pictures and videos, we would love to share them with our community here in Southwest Florida.
Absolutely. Our community has been tremendous already and only getting stronger. Twin Cuts in Fort Myers is collecting items to help people affected by the hurricane, and they're going to be collecting clothing for all ages. Baby items, pet food, bedding, water, canned goods, and any type of non-perishable items. You can drop those off at the Twin Cuts at the Gulf Coast Town Center in Fort Myers. So many people in need in different ways, so every little item helps. Again, that's the Twin Cuts. They're going to be taking those at the Gulf Coast Town Center location there. You know, we all know where that's at, where the Costco and the Bass Pro Shop sits.
So, you know, we are working to get our crews into every little pocket of Southwest Florida, and we're hearing from some of you who say, you know, don't leave us behind. We are working our best to get our crews everywhere and to share your stories as well. Obviously, people along the coastlines got hit very hard. We've seen the damage on Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach and Pine Island, but inland communities are dealing with a lot of damage themselves that they saw with flooding and even some of the strong winds that came with Hurricane Ian.
Vanessa Ariza spoke with people in Immokalee about how power outages and storm damage are impacting their daily lives.
This is a constant scene that we are seeing throughout Fort Myers neighborhoods. Items that people have worked their entire lives for, now thrown on the side as trash. Got dressers here, blankets that look to be homemade. You've also got mattresses on the side of the street. People no longer having a place to lay their head. But what we are also seeing in the midst of all of this are people coming together saying, what do you need? What was once the parish center at the Jesus of the Worker Catholic Church in East Fort Myers is now a distribution center. The church and community is home to a large Hispanic and African American population, and one that Father Patrick O'Connor says tends to get overlooked in times of need.
No one knows that we're here. No one's visited. No one sees the poverty of the community, the terrible condition of the houses, the poverty that people live in here.
Days after Hurricane Ian ripped through the area, people are now waiting in lines under the beating sun, hoping to replenish what was lost.
In the middle of the hurricane, we had people showing up at the church, running from their cars with their babies, with their dogs and cats, because their houses had been destroyed. The roofs had been torn open.
Father Patrick says little government help has been seen here. It's the community who has provided all of this. Pallets of water coming in Tuesday and more supplies going out. Trucks filled with pallets of water and other supplies also making their way to the city of Iona, where many people lost everything. Evidence of that in every inch you take down the road. Miguel Arango saying it's not the government he's seeing, but rather strangers who are the ones coming to help.
This gentleman, like these gentlemen, they come and they help us with whatever they themselves have done. Churches that have been around here and that are part of the community also has been
a sliver of hope in the depths of destruction. In Lee County, Vanessa Ariza, ABC Action News.
All right, and again, if you need information on where you can get help, 311 is a great resource. They can connect you with local charities. There are pods, they call them, and they're basically food and water distribution centers set up by the National Guard across Southwest Florida. So there are places for help, insurance villages, and so on. So we are here with you. We've got that information for you. It's on our website, fox4now.com.
7:51 is the time. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back more with our continuing coverage of the recovery from Hurricane Ian.
7:54 right now. Good morning. Thanks for watching us here on Fox 4 Morning News. We are continuing our coverage from the impacts of Hurricane Ian here in Southwest Florida and the recovery efforts we're seeing. We want to let you know we are here with you. We have all kinds of information for you in an easy to find spot on our website, fox4now.com. And I know power obviously is front of mind for a lot of people, as is water. So let's talk about Florida Power and Light first, because I know that covers a huge portion of Southwest Florida. 95% of people should be up and running with power by the end of Friday when it comes to Florida and Light. Florida Power and Light, excuse me. This is the latest as of 6 o'clock this morning, so just about 2 hours ago we got these numbers. You can see there are still tens of thousands of people out across Southwest Florida, but again, by Friday night, they expect that 95% of customers will have power as long as your home is structurally sound enough to get that power. Let's check in on the LCEC numbers as well, because they are working and they are obviously connecting power to areas that are hardest hit, like Sanibel Island. So that is going to be a tough rebuild. They said about a month, but they're saying by Saturday, they brought in extra crews. They hope to have 95% up and running as well.
Yeah, LCEC, you can see the numbers there. Marco Island, about 2,500 people still without power. Immokalee, right around 225, 227 there without power. Lehigh Acres, a little under 500. North Fort Myers, one of the harder hit areas, just under 20,000 people without power. And it's the Cape. I know a lot of people starting to get a little frustrated here. Extra crews are in town. 81,219 still dealing with the darkness and the uncomfortable situation of not having not only the running water, but refrigerator or AC to keep it cool in the afternoon. Now, 45% of Southwest Florida does have power back, and Duke Energy crews are continuing to restore access there on Pine Island. They are moving into some of the hardest hit areas here in Southwest Florida.
All right, so obviously Cape Coral folks and folks on Sanibel and Pine Island are feeling a bit frustrated, and we want to make sure we update you and we're as clear as possible when it comes to your power, what you can expect. Our John Barron is in Cape Coral. John, tell us where you are specifically and what you're hearing for people who specifically are on LCEC and FPL and what they can be expecting over the coming days.
Yeah, so Trent, Amy, really what you're talking about is how, much we're really hearing those generators humming. And you were talking about where exactly we are. You can actually see right here, we're just in front of this elementary school, right here on this main highway actually here for Cape Coral, and actually just in front of Technical College, Cape Coral's Technical College. And really this is a problem as to why most of these schools are not open at this point in time. It's because there's no electricity right now. And you guys were talking about when we should start to see some of these high schools and some of these schools start to really kind of filter in and start to open up, but you can see right there, they got to really clean this up before they can really let these kids in there. And electricity coursing through most of the city is really going to be a problem. But like you were talking about, FPL is talking about how we're starting to see possibility of 95% of Lee County going to be restored, hopefully by Friday afternoon. And we're talking about how much that could be an impact for us as we start to really try to filter in exactly what we can see as many people are waking up. And as you guys saw at 6 a.m., waking up seeing complete darkness on most of these streets, especially down here on this street. So this is kind of Problem here in Cape Coral and really all of Southwest Florida as many people are waking up. Some of these street lights not even being able to work yet, so you're seeing a lot of cops out there having to treat that as a four-way stop. Let's take a look at really why most of this has been a problem here in Southwest Florida as well. You can see right here just one small example. His down light is another reason why we're starting to see a lot of this electricity having to be shut off and having most of these power poles, of course this not being one, but power poles being the reason why being knocked down, having to get those brand new ones out right now and start to refilter in some of this electricity to get it out here to some of these houses. And as you can see off in the distance, you can see all those lights out there for some of these stoplights, and they're working, but this is a problem for a lot of us here in Southwest Florida for those ones that aren't working and some of those that have to be restored. If you are driving around taking a look at that, you guys are obviously seeing that some of them have been knocked down. It's looking like just straight, strings hanging down from some of these lights because they've just been blown off, so they have to redo that as well. FPL president spoke with us yesterday, and I asked him, I said, okay, we have some of this power being restored to us here in a lot of our counties, but what about some of these streetlights as well? And he said, well, most of these at this point in time, those are the things that we are going to have to do once we restore the power. That's our main priority at this point in time, is restoring power to all of Southwest Florida. And he said that FPL is a little bit higher up right now in the percentage of restored power to many of their customers, that LCEC is kind of struggling a little bit more, just lagging behind a little bit on some of their customers, and they will actually allow them to have some of the FPL linemen be able to help them once they restore all the power to their customers, so they can just go ahead and kind of get the power started right here in Southwest Florida. He said, we're all in this together. He said, this is Florida, and we're going to do what we can to restore all the power, our customers or not, to make sure that everybody's back to normal as soon as possible. Of course, we're going to send it back to you guys in the studio right now, but for here live in Cape Coral, John Barron, Fox 4.
Thanks for the update, John. And of course, we will continue to monitor the progress with the power being turned back on, with the water being fixed to communities across Southwest Florida. We've got those updates on air, but you can always check it out at fox4now.com as well.
All right, 8 o'clock on the dot. We will be right back with our continuing coverage after the storm. Stick around.
After the wind, the rain, and the powerful waves, this is what Hurricane Ian left in its path. Entire islands blown away, bridges ripped apart, homes left flooded, and belongings lost forever.
I have nothing but your dirty clothes and a lot of laundry.
But despite the destruction, people are working together to rebuild. This morning, we have teams across Southwest Florida bringing you stories of survival.
And I was just thinking about my kids and my grandkids and just everybody I know, and they just kept me going in my mind.
Stories of communities coming together.
It doesn't happen in your hometown. So if we can just give somebody that 5-10 minutes of stress relief, come in, like I said, get your hair shampooed, have a hot dog, a cheeseburger, a cold drink, just a pat on the back or a hug.
And updates from community leaders about the recovery process. Everything you need to know after the storm. Coming up on Fox 4 Morning News.
Thanks for joining us this morning on Fox 4 Morning News. I'm Trent Eric.
I'm Amy Wegman. As you just heard, we are following the ongoing recovery process after Hurricane Ian truly just blasted through Southwest Florida last week. We're continuing this coverage here on Fox 4 to make sure that you have the information, the most up-to-date information that you need to take these steps and move forward into the process of recovery.
And we understand and know that lots of you are still without power this morning. Crews with LCEC and FPL are working around the clock to restore the grids for us.
Yeah, so as of 6 o'clock this morning, we have a latest update from Florida Power and Light, and there are still tens of thousands of people without power across Southwest Florida, but by Friday at the end of the day, FPL expects 95% of their customers to have the lights back on. Let's take a look at some of the power outage numbers we're seeing. In Lee County, you can see 44,000. Charlotte County has quite a bit more, 60,000. Sarasota, 47. Collier County, much lower at 8,000. And DeSoto County is dealing with 10,000. LCEC also taking on extra help. They brought in 1,000 new linemen, and crews will be working that once they finish their work with FPL with LCEC to bring you back on. I know Cape Coral, obviously, a lot of people there reaching out to us wondering when they're going to have the lights back on. LCEC says they are working. They're bringing in these extra crews to make that happen. They're hoping it can be by Saturday. So let's look at some of those outage numbers.
Yeah, LCEC, some of the hardest hit areas, North Fort Myers and the Cape, but we're going to start in Marco Island, where some encouraging news there. Over 17,000 have the lights on, leaving 2,484 without power. Lehigh Acres still 1,281 without power, but almost 32,000 have lights here this morning. Now the two that are still patiently waiting for the switches to work once again. North Fort Myers, 38,765 without power. 31,845 have the power restored. And in the Cape, perhaps some of the worst numbers here in Southwest Florida, only 6,535 have the lights on. 87,741 customers still waiting for the restoration of power.
And those linemen are kind of in the trenches right now doing the really difficult work with these. We've seen all of the wooden power poles down in the middle of the roadways in places like Cape Coral Parkway, Burnt Store Road. So they have to fix all of that infrastructure as well as fix the lines and to get you back on the grid. So again, by Saturday, they're hoping they can do that, and we will watch what they're doing and make sure to update you to see if that is in fact going to happen. Food and water obviously is another big thing that people are looking for right now across Southwest Florida. You can't go to the grocery store and get bottled water, but there are distribution sites set up all across Southwest Florida. The National Guard is out giving you food and water. They've got 8 locations in Lee County. I believe it's 4 locations in Charlotte County. Collier County's got a couple locations, not to mention all of the charities, local business owners, food trucks that are just giving out food and feeding our community as we're dealing with this. So we've got a list of all of those places. If you want an exact address on our website, just go to fox4now.com. You can click on the Hurricane Ian tab and you'll find all kinds of places where you can go to get resources.
Some good news this morning. Water pumping operations are almost back to 100% in Cape Coral, and the Department of Emergency Management says Southwest Florida is ahead of schedule when it comes to restoring water for other areas like Fort Myers.
Yeah, and if you see bubbling water in places like Fort Myers, they're asking that you call 311 because those could be water line breaks under the ground. They need to know where those are located so that they can repair those. So again, 311 is the number to call, but they are hoping that everyone can get back up and running across the area by this weekend.
And even though the water's running, the boil water notice is still in effect for Lee County. It's so important, a rolling boil for at least a minute to get rid of the bacteria and contaminants. Yeah,
it's kind of second nature. Sometimes you forget, you go to the fridge to push the ice, oh wait, that doesn't work. Or if it does work for you, if you are one of those pockets of communities in Southwest Florida that has water, do not drink it and do not use it to brush your teeth even. It's dangerous to be out on the roads right now. We talked about the downed power lines that the crews are fixing, the downed power poles, there's debris everywhere. So there are curfews in place. The other reason this is happening is because we're seeing looting across Southwest Florida. There have been several arrests for looting, and you need to be aware of this. So we want to go over some of the curfews for you right now. In Collier County, it's from midnight to 6. City of Naples starts a little earlier, 10 to 6, and that will remain in place until the power is fully restored there. If you're in Charlotte County, it's 10 to 6, and Lee County, 9 to 6.
Some changes in Sanibel with a curfew going into place tomorrow. They've been on a 24/7 curfew, but starting tomorrow, they're going to match the daylight hours. It's going to run from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Our sunrise here in town is roughly about 20 after 7. We start to get that civil twilight. So some improvements to the curfew situation there out on Sanibel.
All right, so Trent touched on the boil water notice. So again, if you're trying to cook or clean today, keep in mind rolling boil. You want to boil that water, use bottled water if you can. We are slowly hearing of some of our local areas lifting the boil water notice, but you're going to want to double and triple check to make sure that is the case for where you live before you ingest that water. So if you're on Gulf Shore Drive, in Collier County, the boil water notice has been lifted for you. I know portions of Bonita Springs have been lifted as well. But again, all of this information is on our website, fox4now.com. So make sure to double check because that's for your health and your safety.
Yeah, Fox 4 has crews out across Southwest Florida today covering everything from the power restoration to updates on the president's visit later on today as we all recover together. And we're going to continue to bring you ongoing coverage throughout the morning.
Yeah, our Colton Chavez is at the airport. That's because the president and the first lady are expected to arrive at RSW today. They're going to do an aerial view of the damage across our beautiful area and see what Ian did to us here. So they're landing at RSW, then they're going to jump into a helicopter, take a view. I'm sure they'll go over Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach, but they're going to end up in Charlotte County at Fisherman's Wharf, and that's where they're going to meet face to face with some of the people who live here in Southwest Florida, some of the people who lost their homes, who lost their businesses. So we will be covering the president's visit. We're going to be there at the airport and also in Charlotte County throughout the morning, so you can get the latest on air. We're going to be with you for several more hours, but again, obviously online as well, you can get the latest. Let's check in with Colton. Like I said, he's at the airport. Yes, the president is coming in, but also commercial airlines. A few flights have opened back up, not a whole lot, and that's because not only are they still working on clearing out damage, but we have the National Guard there using the runways to still work on search and rescue and things like that. So let's go check in with Colton. What are you seeing there, and what do people need to know today if they're headed to the airport?
Well, Amy, as you said, it's important that the president is making his way to Southwest Florida International Airport, but I think the more important thing we're seeing here is we're seeing residents for the first time have that ability to be able to come and check on their home if they evacuated during Hurricane Ian. Now, the Concourse D, this is where primarily all of the flights are going to be coming out of today. This is the TSA check line. Pretty empty right now, but everything's kind of coming in waves. We're definitely seeing more people than what we saw earlier today. We can even have a few of our travelers starting to make their way down the concourse. Now, TSA has been checking people out for about the last 2 hours, and since then we've continued to see more people coming through, and it's all a lot of people all giving us a similar story. We've been trying to get out since last week. We've been trying to have loved ones come in since last week, and now they're finally getting that opportunity. So if you are making your way here to RSW, there are some important things I want to make sure you know. First is going to be the amenities that we have here at RSW, and it's going to be things like Starbucks, like all of the shops. Those are going to be open. It's limited supply. We've talked about the boil water. Notice we've seen bags of ice. We've seen bottles of water all getting shipped to these stores. So the airport tells us they are in limited supply. So if you do come here, you may be able to get something. You may not. It just depends on when they run out. The other important piece that I want to tell you, I was just talking about Concourse D, is that wherever your flight normally goes out of, whether it's Allegiant, United, whatever your flight airline is, they're saying today that it might be coming out of a different concourse. So you're going to want to make sure you check the board. You're going to want to make sure you check your phone app and even your ticket. If you feel like you're lost or you feel like you don't know where you're going today, they have people in red vests walking throughout the airport. Karen, we actually have someone over here at the doorway. See that nice lady in the red jacket? She's actually part of customer service here. They have them spread throughout the airport right now just to help people really navigate the airport right now, because as I said, there are some changes, limited flights as well. If you're parking here at the airport, short-term, long-term, both of those are in operation. And they also, airport leaders tell me, the airport is open, but please don't use it as a shelter. They're going to make sure that if you're coming in, it's because you're either having someone arrive or you're departing to another city. But stay with us, because we've been talking to some of these travelers out here today, and when I check back in, we're going to hear some of their stories. But for now, live at RSW, Colton Chavez, Fox 4.
All right, thanks for that, Colton. I myself was supposed to fly out of Southwest Florida International Airport in the coming days, and it's really important that we get this information to you if you or a loved one was planning on flying, because it's not an automatic refund if you missed your flight because of the storm or if you aren't able to get in and out. So, for example, I just checked some of the major airlines, Delta, for example. Those flights that were affected, you only have until October 6th. Today is the 5th, so till tomorrow to rebook or reissue that flight. Southwest is giving folks who had flights in and out until November 5th to reissue. You can get the same class, same ticket price, but you have to do that within 30 days, they say, of your original date that you were supposed to fly. So my point in telling you this is that if you were supposed to travel, don't just presume that you're going to automatically get a refund. You need to contact the airline so that you don't lose money that way.
Good deal. We're going to stay on top of the president's visit here throughout the morning and, of course, track his arrival later on with our continuing coverage. Now, a couple of things that are happening here today that are new. The first Disaster Recovery Center is now open in Fort Myers, and this is a one-stop shop. It brings together 10 state and federal agencies to help people across the state.
Yeah, and we're going to see places like this pop up across Southwest Florida as the federal government and the state government are working together to kind of hold your hand and get you through this, those of you that have been really affected by the storm. So this is just one additional resource that is available to you. It's at the Lakes Regional Library, Lakes Park area. So if you're familiar, Gladiolus and Summerlin area, very close to Health Park, that is where you're going to want to go for this kind of one-stop shop. The governor announced last night that more locations will also be opening soon. As soon as we get that information, of course, we'll update you on our website and here on air at Fox 4. Another thing, you know, if you're in parts of Southwest Florida that don't have running water right now, you are probably just itching to get a shower if you don't have friends or family to go to. And there are some hygiene stations being set up.
Yeah, one of those is at Jim Jeffers Park. It's open daily here from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. And they have showers, bathrooms, charging stations, and even some limited laundry services there. Now, you need to bring your own supplies, but boy, this really going to help out a lot of people who haven't had power or running water now. This is day number 7 since the storm made landfall.
Yeah, and if you're thinking perhaps you need some medical assistance, there is a national disaster medical system. It opened some temporary medical services so that if you are in the Charlotte County area, if you need to see a doctor or a nurse, you can go do that. They've got paramedics on site, pharmacists on site. So again, this is in Charlotte County. It's located just outside the former Cultural Center of Charlotte County, which is on Aaron Street in Port Charlotte, if you're not familiar with it. It's open 24/7, which is awesome because we know it's not always easy to pick when you're going to be able to have access to a ride if your car got damaged or whatnot. And all of these services, the big important message here, is free. So that's Charlotte County. If you're in Lee County, they are starting to open up several locations across the area as well, get back up and running. They expect to be in all of their health facilities by the end of the week, the ones that weren't damaged enough to keep them out of there. And Lee Telehealth is also free right now for anyone that needs to use it. Super easy to use. You just download the app. Just search in the App Store, Lee Telehealth, and you will be face-to-face with a doctor, and you can get, care as long as it's non-emergency care, and prescriptions if you need to do that. Perhaps you lost yours, so that's another great way to do it. If you're having an emergency, the message is you can still call 911. The 911 lines are up and working across Southwest Florida in all of our counties, so don't hesitate to do that because there is so much help out there for you.
Some really positive news when it comes to restoring water. The Director of Emergency Management announced that just a few hours ago that the area is ahead of schedule on restoring that water. Kevin Guthrie announced that the Pine Woods facility off of Corkscrew Road in Estero is pumping 3 million gallons a day. The Olga water plant suffered some minor flooding damage, but by the end of the day, it should be pumping 2.4 million a day. Green Meadows is pumping 8 million gallons a day, and meanwhile, the city of Fort Myers is pumping nearly 9 million gallons a day, with Lee County pumping 2 million. Cape Coral is also 100% operational.
We've heard from so many of you that have your story of survival, and they are a wide range. You know, I think it was scary even just to sit in a house or a mobile home during this storm, even if you are okay. But we heard from one man in Fort Myers that just has such an incredible story. His name is Stan Pence. And he said he had to jump out of his building that he was sheltering in to avoid drowning because he only had 2 feet to go before the water was going to hit the ceiling. So he went into the water. He was swept away by it, and he had to hang onto bushes for hours during the storm. You can imagine he's outside. So eventually he did make it to a building where he was able to get up onto the second story and spend the night, but he was out there for hours, and he talked to us about the one thing that really mentally he had to keep his mind focused on to give him the strength to get through.
And I was just thinking about my kids and my grandkids and just everybody I know, and they just kept me going in my mind.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's the stories like that that we're going to continue to hear, not only survival, but now recovery. Right now, it is 8:19. We're going to take a couple of minutes here to reset. We'll be back with much more in our continuing coverage after the storm. We'll be right back.
Good morning. Welcome back. 8:22 right now on your Wednesday morning. Thanks for being with us here on Fox 4 Morning News. We are continuing to keep you updated and give you the most up-to-date information as you are starting the repair and recovery process here in Southwest Florida.
Yeah, I mean, we lose track of the days. What would you be doing normally at 8:22?
Well, I would be at work, but my husband will be getting the kids ready for
There you
school,
go.
and that is not the case for most counties across Southwest Florida. We do want to say that Glades and Hendry County are in school. Collier County starts tomorrow, but for Lee and Charlotte County, it's going to be some time.
Yeah, and part of the issue is that these buildings are either damaged or destroyed. And we got an update from Lee County schools where 42 buildings are considered low-level impact, which believes the school will be good if it just gets power and water and some minor cleaning. Now, 29 are medium impact, and that means there could be some broken windows, maybe a little water intrusion, and need for a little longer time for some additional cleanup. Unfortunately, 14 are at the high level, and that means that they've sustained some major damage, and some of those potentially beyond repair.
Yeah, we saw some of the pictures the Lee County School District put out of, for example, Fort Myers Beach Elementary, and you can see why it's going to be quite some time before the kids are able to get back to school there. So just to reiterate, Lee County schools are closed until further notice because they are still assessing the damage and figuring out a plan to get back to school. They might do it in a tiered way instead of sending the entire school district back at one time. In Collier County, again, they start tomorrow. They're doing free breakfast and free lunch through October 31st, so the end of the month for any of those kids that are in Collier County schools, excuse me. Charlotte and DeSoto are a similar situation as Lee. It's closed until further notice because they are assessing the damage. DeSoto had a lot of flooding, so they're just figuring all of that out. You should have direct contact with your school through some kind of parent link, so make sure to look out for updates there. And of course, we're going to continue to update you as well. Sarasota County schools, if you're there, they're going to reopen in phases. So phase 1 is starting on Monday. Some of the schools north of Venice start Monday. Phase 2 will be traditional public schools in Englewood and Northport. The date that they are expecting to start is October 17th. If you're in Hendry County, schools are back in session. Your kids should be there today. Maybe you're just getting power again and you're not realizing that. Don't worry, they're going to obviously have grace for absences and things like that as people get back online. Glades County resumed on Monday. They, again, also are exercising student absences and excusing those this week. So those are the schools for the younger kids. If you're in college or your child goes to Florida Gulf Coast University, classes should be starting on Monday. That's October 10th. They're going to use weekends right now to make up classes for any of the time you missed during the hurricane. There is going to be some remote attendance that's available, and they are working on changing the calendar right now and figuring out what the calendar is going to look like as we move forward for the rest of the 2022-2023 school year. So keep that in mind. All of this obviously is on their website as well at FGCU. We do want to let you know we are expecting to hear and carry live a press conference from the school district. Lee County Schools is going to be talking at 3 o'clock, so keep that in mind, and we'll update you as soon as we get more information. Hopefully they'll be able to detail out a plan for you.
Yeah, Amy, as we continue to look at the devastation around town, you can see this is a view there of Fort Myers Beach Elementary, and some of the other schools obviously impacted. The Sanibel School, such a beautiful school and one of the top schools in our district.
Yeah, that picture right there really got to me when I saw it because you can just see how high the water line is. That was inside the Sanibel School. Obviously, we know that they saw so much damage. So we're seeing some of these pictures, and you know, it really kind of puts the exclamation point on why it's going to be a while before those kids get back to school. If you're working on rebuilding or you want to get to work and get those permits going, the good news is Lee County will be opening an emergency building and well repair permitting operation. So this will be at the Department of Community Development. It's located on 2nd Street in downtown Fort Myers. That's the address there, 2115 2nd Street. and most counties are waiving the permitting fee for stuff right now, so that's good news there. You don't have to pay that.
Yeah, 90 days, I believe, and that began on September 30th. Let's move to Charlotte County, where the volunteer reception center, I should say, is now open for individuals who would like to offer their skills to help. And this is something that we see in every disaster, is those with skills always come together to help out. Now, to register to help, just go to the VRC, stands for the Volunteer Reception Center, which is located at 227 Sullivan Street in Punta Gorda. The zip code there, 33950. It's going to be open daily. It's open now until 11 a.m. So a short window here in the morning to go to volunteer.
Yeah, and if you also registered or already did at this website, coadfl.org, you don't have to go there to re-register. You will be contacted, so you don't need to show up. Just be patient if they haven't contacted you yet. They're getting a lot of volunteers, which we love to see. Volunteers are needed in Cape Coral right now. Cape Christian is a church in Cape Coral off Chiquita Boulevard. They said they need help. 40 to 60 people is what they're looking for, 3 shifts each day. So they're going to be giving out food this week. They prepared 20,000 sandwiches already and gave them out. I know, that's a lot of sandwiches. And starting tomorrow, the teams there from Cape Christian will be going out to help people clean up their yards, clean up their homes. We know that can be such a daunting task if you're just now starting that. If you want to volunteer, here's one easy way to get connected if you don't want to drive to Cape Christian and try and find someone for the opportunity. You text the word Cape Vol, so CAPEVOL, to 94000. If you're someone that needs help and you want people to come help you clean up your house, text Cape C, CAPEC, to 94000. You'll get to, a menu, choose option 2. They'll ask for your name and address. Just follow the prompts. It'll walk you through that.
Additional points of distribution of water and food are opening here in Cape Coral, and that includes the Cape Coral Sports Complex and the Oaks Golf Course, excuse me.
Oh, yeah, the Coral Oaks, yeah.
Yeah, that one is open as well. Now, these will be open from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. Also, the Cape Coral Sports Complex. Cultural Park Boulevard has been a very busy spot here in the recovery since the storm. Over 80,000 people still without power and some without water here in the Cape, Amy. So every drop of water, every sandwich counts.
Absolutely. All right. It is 8:29 right now. We are going to continue to stick with you throughout the morning, bringing you important information as you're cleaning up after the storm. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. You're watching Fox 4 Morning News.